not a bad Willie Nelson.
Oh, no, it's just Modesta. 103.3.
He sang Go Into Pot, which is a duet he did with Merle Haggard a few years back.
Yeah.
And he finished, like, let's finish with some gospel. And then he started playing Roll Me Up and Smoke Me When I Die.
That's funny. That's the one thing I've never really liked about the audience at the Simply Bluegrass Festival in San Francisco is they would have Emmylou Harris play. She had some really good recent songs.
Sure.
But then at the end, she would end off with gospel music, and the crowds would clear out like the Red Sea. And it's like you guys are jerks. It's like literally 2 songs. Just like, I don't have to listen to this.
Gospel music's got a place, man. It's got like a thing. People should appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. That's where a lot of our best music has its roots.
Some of the best Elvis stuff is gospel stuff.
The best Elvis stuff is the one. Oh, speaking of Elvis, and then going back to Corey Feldman,
you saw it.
He got hitched at the same Elvis Temple Church chapel that I did.
Oh, really?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Corey
Feldman,
Feldman
same guy. Yeah, let me see if I can find it. It's someone alerted my wife to it. Elvis Chapel.
That's amazing. The 2 Corys and the 1 Roger.
There is only one Roger.
I spelled his name wrong. I forgot the E.
You're so nice putting these little spaces between these for me.
I try to be nice.
I know no one else likes that. For me, it's just, if I have OCD about anything, it's no breaks and things. I freaking hate it.
I have the weirdest OCDs.
On the road again.
I have an OCD about locking doors, and not being sure if they're locked. I'll lock it.
And then you'll keep double checking it.
Yeah, I've literally walked back a quarter of a mile just to make sure. I locked the door. Kind of thing.
I've been everywhere, man.
That's a Lucky Star. If you find a Lucky Star on YouTube, he sang the original version, and it's really good because he does all the Australian place names, but he does it in a very rhythmic, almost kind of like what they call a chant. When the auctioneers do that auction chant where they blah, blah, blah. Right. That's how he sings that song.
That's awesome.
Oh no, not Corey. I'm sorry, it was Shia LaBeouf.
Oh,
here, I'll put it anyway.
Yeah, thankfully you're still putting it in there since it's Shia LaBeouf.
He married Mia Goth.
Yeah,
and he's even in the same Elvis outfit.
She's that model European lady who was in that movie with him. That's so weird. That I didn't like.
Please vote commercial.
All right, we about ready?
Oh, for some reason I thought we were waiting for Len, and then I realized.
Well, no, because Len and Rich were both in Slack talking with us. I kind of felt that way when we first started too.
Where's Len?
Yeah.
And then I have.
You've got control.
Okay, hiding.
All right, here we go.
Quality content thrives through the support of those who benefit from its creation. If you gain value from the Daily Tech News Show, consider joining others like me who provide support. Learn how to help at dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Wednesday, October 19th, 2016. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me on Wednesdays, my co-host Scott Johnson is in the house. How are you, Scott?
I love Wednesdays. I'm happy. I'm good. I had a brief touch of the flu yesterday, but I think because I got my flu shot, it didn't happen. So here I am, feeling better, ready to transfer it to you through this microphone contraption. That's how it works, right?
Yeah. You had La Grippe? The flu?
I had a rough one, but doing great today. And I'm really thrilled to be here. We got all kinds of cool stuff today.
Yeah, no, we're going to talk about, there it goes. Okay, for those of you who have that on your drinking game bingo card. We are going to talk about e-ink keyboards. There's a lot of rumors flying around about there, and there's some history behind it as well. We also have the official announcement from Apple that they're doing something. Yahoo says it sent a letter to the U.S. Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, seeking more transparency around national security orders. I bet they would like to explain more. The Wall Street Journal reports Google has signed up CBS for its rumored YouTube TV service, supposedly called Unplugged. Now here are some more top stories. Facebook is testing new features for U.S. users starting Wednesday. Facebook Pages will let you order food, say from delivery.com or slice.com, set an appointment using My Time, get a professional services quote from folks like plumbers, buy tickets through Ticketmaster at Eventbrite, and the reason Facebook is doing all this, all without leaving Facebook. You don't click on Eventbrite and go out to Eventbrite's site. You just stay within Facebook, which is the way Facebook would like it. Another new feature called Recommendations will suggest itself when it sees you're asking friends for recommendations. It'll say, hey, would you like to post a card to your friend's timeline asking for recommendations on things to do in the city you're talking about? So it's good for travel, or you're just trying to find the best burrito in your town or something like that. And it'll have a map, so the recommendations will show up on a map for you. The events button in Facebook app is also now going to show a page with event recommendations and friends RSVPs, so it'll be easier to find stuff to do. If any of these features do well in the United States, they may roll out worldwide. What do you think, Johnson?
Oh, well, Merritt, here's my thinking. It was only a matter of time before we saw a public manifestation of Facebook's answer to all of these smart bot chat utility technologies, machine learning kinds of things. And we already knew they were working on all kinds of stuff like that. And this is also a natural extension of, hey, you can read this New York Times article without leaving Facebook. It's just sort of here. It's not embedded like traditional HTML, but it's just kind of part of the page. And I don't know where that's at currently and how that's working in terms of its success, but this feels like kind of a piece of that. The only thing they've really added is some interactivity and some functionality. Twitter's done some of this in the past. So it doesn't surprise me, and I actually think it's a good thing. I don't know if I'm in Facebook often enough looking for recommendations or trying to get professional services quotes or things for this to affect me very much. But if it's intuitive and smart, and my mom just starts typing, wonder if we should see a movie with her little friends group she has, and it spits back show times where they all live, I don't see how that's a bad thing. Seems good.
Yeah, I'm less concerned with the machine learning aspect of like, oh, it looks like you're asking people for stuff. Let's make a card. Like, that seems helpful. I am more concerned with this idea that Facebook continues to want to keep you inside. I don't like that because it's not cross-compatible. I don't mind that Facebook wants to make it easier for you to find a plumber. I don't mind that it wants to make it easier for you to buy a pizza. Like what I do mind is that they're really trying to cut off the rest of the web. This isn't something that encourages other businesses to exist on an open platform. It encourages business to exist within the Facebook platform. And I'm ringing that old bell again. I know I go on and on about this, but I don't like the siloed aspect of things. I would like that pendulum to swing back to an open platform where everybody can, post their flag and compete. And then the best person wins, not Facebook owning all of the interactions, because what they're doing here is building up data on your purchase activities.
Well, that's a good point. I hadn't really considered that. I agree with you, and I have in the past when we've had issues like this. My bigger brain wants to say, sure, but this is like a chance for them to catch up, to play the only way they know how to play in their own garden at the game that Apple and Microsoft and Google to a great extent are trying to dominate in or stake their claim in. So me as a consumer, the idea of me being able to talk to a friend on Facebook and have it recommend the movie just like it might in Allo or something else is kind of convenient because I can just order right there. And to me, that's no different than that. I think the big difference is nobody's using Allo, at least comparatively, and everyone uses Facebook. So there's we're the biggest kid on the block and we're going to keep you even more than we already are. That is kind of a problem.
Well, and it causes a problem because you see the silos competing. Like, I want movie tickets to be suggested for me when I'm in iMessage, but my friend uses Facebook. So now what do we do, right? Like, it makes people pick sides. Rather than having a cross-platform system, it's like, hey, it doesn't matter where you're typing your message, that Fandango suggestion is just going to pop up. Isn't that great? Everybody can use whatever they want.
Yeah. It'd be nice if it was more of an embedded. I know it's embedded by practicality, but it'd be nice if it was more of an embedded traditional embed, something that was like, here's a little strip of code. It's very easy. If you want to embed this, to just stick this in your posts. And then that makes sense from it sort of just skips Facebook and goes straight to the vendor. And then it's still the vendor. You're still in their playground. And if you went to their site or did it through Facebook or did it through any other web interface, it's the same. But we're not talking about a universal embed code here. We're talking about a very specific partnership with, conjoined code that means that isn't possible. So that is a bit of a bummer. As a user, though, and I'm trying to get into their heads, I'll bet people embrace this, while people like you and me are sort of skeptical about it.
Yeah. Well, because they have so many people using Facebook. So
that's true.
They can
true. Google Apps for Work is now called G Suite. That's the name of my upcoming rap album, by the way. Also, I should probably talk to my lawyer.
G Suite.
G Suite. It has got a couple of updates today, and people seem to, I don't know what they think of it. Docs will now guess when you're typing an action item and pop a suggestion to assign it. So that's kind of interesting. Files will now show badges when they have action items attached to them. And Google Forms will now suggest multiple choice responses based on the question you type. Are we seeing a pattern here with all the stuff we've talked about today? And finally, G Suite productivity apps will now integrate with Slack conversations. Clicking the plus button in Slack will let you create or import a Google Drive file.
Okay, so that last one, yes.
Yeah.
Huge, big one. The docs thing, I can see why it's useful. It's not something that I necessarily need to use regularly, but wow, Google Forms. Oh, yeah. Because I make these surveys up twice a year for DTNS. I use Google Forms for other things like FSL Tonight. And just having it guess pre-population on percentages, or the example they use in the TechCrunch article is T-shirt sizes. Heck yeah. No, I love that.
Yeah. How do you, so Inbox, another Google product, which I use Inbox on mobile and on desktop over standard Gmail clients and third-party clients. And so one of the things it does, or it touts that it does, is when I get an email from somebody like you, it presents me 3 or 4 potential answers based on a couple of things. One, it's reading the natural language and trying to give me some good suggestions, but also it's looking at past history, I assume, about the kinds of things I would answer, because some of the answers include words and names that only I would reply to you with, or to people I've talked to, like the word frog pants will show up in a reply or something like that. That's what this is. Now, the problem is I rarely use it on Inbox because it's almost never enough. It's either too terse and it sounds like I'm not really paying attention, or it's too wordy, or it's the wrong thing. So I need to be this needs to be proven to me that forms can sort of auto-populate in a reasonable way. I understand if it's a very complex new question with 10 possible answers, I'm not probably going to get the answers I want. But if it's yes, no, maybe, undecided, sure, I guess that's going to save us some time. So I guess
no, I think it's cool, and people today seem to be very excited talking about this. The people who use G Suite, I guess. Yeah. The United States FCC announced today it has reached a settlement with T-Mobile USA over slowing the connections of the top 3% of its customers by data usage. Anybody with around 17 gigabytes a month was getting slowed down, according to the Verge article. The FCC cited T-Mobile for marketing plans as unlimited. The FCC Enforcement Bureau Chief Travis LeBlanc said consumers should not have to guess whether so-called unlimited data plans contain key restrictions like speed constraints, data caps, and other material limitations. So they're not getting dinged for throttling. They're getting dinged for calling it unlimited and not making it clear that if you're in the upper 3%, you might get throttled. T-Mobile is going to pay $35.5 million to a consumer benefit program that will offer affected customers 4 gigabytes of additional mobile data and 20% discounts on phone accessories. They'll also pay $7.5 million to the U.S. Treasury and give $5 million worth of services and equipment to U.S. schools. So all told, they're going to spend $48 million settling this with the FCC. AT&T was under similar accusations, and there was talk of a $100 million fine last year. That just sort of faded away.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that case. I never heard there was any resolution to it.
It was a proposed fine of $100 million. Congress in December started to hit up the FCC going, why haven't you fined them? They said, well, it was a proposed fine. We didn't actually issue the fine, so we're not going to collect it till we issue it, and haven't heard anything about it since.
So if that thing is still in some sort of active pre-litigation, then this could inform that maybe? I don't know. Seems like this is an actual judgment in this case. They're saying this is your fine and this is how you need to pay it and this is where it's going to go. So maybe that will inform what happens with AT&T, because AT&T clearly, publicly anyway, was the much larger target for people's complaints about unlimited and grandfathering and all that.
Yeah. Well, and there's confusion. T-Mobile was very clear on certain parts of unlimited, like, hey, there were unlimited plans that said after you hit this very clear definition, you'll be throttled down to 2G speeds for the rest of the month. That's not what they're in trouble for. What they're in trouble for was an unlimited plan that said it's unlimited, and then people were throttled if they were in the top 3% of users, which is different. So there's two different plans out there. And if you're thinking of the one that was very clear that said, hey, it's unlimited, but if you read down, it says it's unlimited up to a certain point. That is not what the FCC, if I understand this right, that is not what the FCC is dinging them for. It was a different unlimited marketing where they didn't say anything about the limits.
Well, poo-poo to them. They should pay it. Apple, I have no opinion, really, honestly. It's a lot of money. I know that. And it's good for the schools. That's my stance. Apple sent out media invites like seconds before we started recording today to an event in its Cupertino campus. This is on Thursday, October 27th. It starts at 10 a.m. Pacific, which is pretty typical. The invite says, hello again, and features the top half of an Apple logo filled with some sort of reddish, creepy smoke. Probably at the rumored Mac event, I think, Tom.
Do you think that's throwing shade at Samsung? No. No.
I hadn't thought of it till you said it. Now I want it to be.
Yeah. No. So this Ina Fried yesterday had reported that October 27th would be the day, and before her story was even 24 hours old, Apple went out and sent out the invites, which they kind of have to. It's next week, but it's going to be on Thursday because keep in mind Apple's earnings call is on Tuesday. They do like to do these things earlier in the week, but they're probably waiting till their earnings call is done before they do the announcement this time, rather than have them happen on the same day or consecutive days. We assume we are going to get new MacBook Pros. The broken MacBook Pro to my right really hopes that that's true.
Well, also, they're playing off the whole hello language, which is how the Mac was introduced, with it saying hello. And I swear they've had other events, either pre-Tim Cook or otherwise, where hello again was the thing. So unless I'm remembering that wrong, that feels like an old slogan, but it has to be Mac related. Of course it is.
Yeah, I think so. And my guess, if I'm going to go further down this road of parsing and guessing, is that we know it's been a long time since we revised this line, but we were taking our time because we've reinvented the Mac from the ground up, and we think you're going to love it.
I was hoping you'd add that last part. What if, though, here's a quick prediction. What if it's a lava lamp, and that's what that logo is?
The eye lamp.
Oh, man.
I mean, that could be in there. Yeah.
It'll work like Echoes and stuff. You just say stuff to it.
All right. So LeEco is a Chinese company that bought Vizio recently. Is very big in China as far as providing video services and affordable but premium quality electronics. Their deal is we'll sell you high-end electronics at an affordable price because we'll get you into our ecosystem and pay for our services. So they're making a big splash here in the U.S. Now that they own Vizio, they've opened a research and development campus that they bought partially from Yahoo in San Jose. And today they decided it was a good idea to just introduce everything. So I'm going to run through these really quick, Scott, and then you just tell me which of these things stuck in your brain.
All right.
2 phones. A $399 5.5-inch Le Pro 3 Android phone with a Snapdragon 821 processor, 4 gigs of RAM, and 64 gigs of storage, plus a 16-megapixel camera in gray or gold metal, and then a cheaper $249, but also 5.5-inch Le S3 phone with a Snapdragon 652 and 32 gigabytes of storage. That one's available in gray, rose gold, gold, and black.
If you're in
Rose
France,
gold and gold.
That's the Pro 3 and the S3. If you're
correct, Le Pro 3 or the Pro 3 if you're French. Le Pro 3. Anyway, 4 4K TVs were announced. The 85-inch UMax 85 with Dolby Vision and HDR10, 64 gigabytes of storage, 4 gigs of RAM for $5,000. And then the X43 Pro, which is 43 inches, the X55, 55 inches, the X65, 65 inches. All those have 4K. And all these TVs have Harman Kardon audio built in.
All right. Those look nice, but expensive.
The Explore VR headset. This goes with the LeEco phones. Has a USB-C connector, gyroscope, accelerometer, magnetometer, and a proximity sensor.
All right, that's interesting only from the point of view that a proximity sensor is kind of a big deal for a portable solution like this. So I'm actually curious about that.
A couple of concept, I don't want to say devices, concept vehicles. An Android-powered super bike was showed off. This is not ready for sale yet, but it has hydraulic brakes, side laser system, an alarm, fingerprint scanner so nobody can ride your bike if you don't want them to. The battery in it is charged by the bike's hub, and it can assist you in going up to 30 miles per hour. But it is a bicycle, not a motorcycle.
When they say side laser, I assume that's like sensors to tell how close you are to traffic or something. Okay.
Yep.
It's not like lasers to take out your closest competitor next to you.
Well, you know, a little hacking. Who knows?
Who knows?
LeC, S-E-E, LeC Pro concept autonomous car will be unveiled at CES in January. They also talked about the LeC, which they have showed off previously. The LeC was in an accident on its way from LA, and the LeC Pro was delayed on its way back from London, where it was being used by Michael Bay as part of the new Transformers movie. So they didn't have either car actually available to try out.
Wow. Michael Bay, what's he? So there's a Transformer who's now a self-driving autonomous vehicle.
Yes.
That's the big story here. You know what? This is burying the lead. The lead is there's a Transformer made out of some
right. Well, LeEco partners with Faraday Future on making their cars. So it's basically a Faraday Future car that's going to be in a Transformer. Yeah. There. That's the big news. That's the headline, folks. Finally, an EUI ecosystem for video. So this is how they make their money, right? They didn't have a whole lot of details about this, but they basically said, we're going to have a video system, and we'll have content from Awesomeness TV and Lionsgate and MGM and Showtime and A&E and Sling. But Sling is a service that includes things like A&E. So I'm curious how that whole thing is going to work, but they didn't give us any details.
That's really weird. Also, I mean, China more and more has ownership in lots of media companies. So making those deals, striking those deals is much easier than it used to be.
Good point, because one thing that I didn't put in my notes here is that LeEco owns a movie studio that they are working on building up here in L.A., and they are a co-producer on The Great Wall starring Matt Damon.
Oh my goodness. Are you ready for our Chinese only future one day? I mean, products. I'm not trying to be xenophobic here, but you know, we're going to have a lot of Chinese stuff in our life.
It's not going to be Chinese only anymore than it was. Remember, it was going to be, everything was going to be Japanese. And then, you know, it turns out.
Now everything we have, so some of the stuff, my phone's still American, but it's not really. It was made over there. Now it's just a matter of me going with the brand that was built.
Right. That used to be what everyone said about Japan too.
That's true. They did. And then Taiwan, and then
yeah. It always moves around, because then as soon as China's economy starts to get too big to continue to grow, then everybody's going to move to India. And then when India gets too big, then everybody's going to move to African countries. Yep. And then it's going to come back to the United States. So who knows? I don't know.
Well, to get back to a very USA-based thing.
Yeah, all of this except the concept bike and the concept cars launch on lemall.com November 2nd.
Lemall, really? All right. NFL coach Bill Belichick in the news. And by the way, NFL still made in the USA. All right. Everyone just back off. Bill Belichick told reporters he is, quote, done with tablets. They didn't say if any of the language is any more saucier than that. But anyway, and we'll go back to paper pictures after suffering one too many technical problems with his Microsoft Surface. Belichick says it is a personal decision, saying, quote, there isn't enough consistency in the performance of the tablets. I just can't take it anymore, unquote. He added, sometimes something happens and it's hard to be fixed. And first of all, you have to find out what the problem is. It could be one of 15 different things. Does this sound familiar to users of any other piece of technology? I would argue we all have these problems. Microsoft told Business Insider the Surface still has a positive reception from members of the NFL.
Yeah, because Microsoft is giving these Surfaces. They're paying the NFL for teams to use the Surface. But the coaches are not required to use them.
Right. Also, some of these guys are some salty old dudes who've been in the NFL forever. They got ways of doing stuff. It's a little fangled, maybe. I don't want to be an ageist here or whatever, but they're focused on football, man. They don't need to worry about why does Windows 10 lock up when I do this one thing.
Dude.
So I totally get it, but at the same time, I hope this doesn't reflect poorly on the sales of the device, because people love their Surfaces. It's a nice.
I have a Surface Pro that I enjoy very much. But it and everything else, including Apple products, lock up sometimes and don't do what you want, and you can't figure out why. And then you get very frustrated. And if I, who am a technology person who's doing this on purpose, get frustrated. I can't imagine somebody who's like, the photos worked fine. Why do I have to use this stupid thing that just locks up every so often? And then you have 15 like, I totally get this. It basically, this proves a long-running, and I'm going to ring another bell here, a long-running point I've had that technology is not generally ready for people. Like, we push it out there because it can do something, but it's not really ready for people who aren't willing to put up with troubleshooting. Troubleshooting is the great burden on people who want to adopt technology. And if you're not somebody who's in the mind of like, hey, I don't mind troubleshooting a little, then you don't want to do this.
Yeah. Also, maybe those tablets made it easier for the New England Patriots to cheat.
You didn't just get political.
I'm kidding. Keep your
You're going all Deflategate on me now?
I couldn't help it. You just keep your emails to yourselves. It was a joke.
He doesn't even know who the Patriots are, folks. So just hang back. It's all right. Thanks to all those who participate in our subreddit, submit stories, and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. As I said on Daily Tech Headlines, because we had that same story there. That was one of the top subreddit stories today for us. All right. Last week, Australia's Sonder keyboard told 9 to 5 Mac it had held discussions with Apple related to its dynamic keyboard technology. They've gotten quiet since then. They're not really commenting anymore. But Sonder does have a keyboard on its website that they display. It uses e-ink technology to offer dynamic, customizable e-ink keys. You can actually pre-order it right now for $199. They promise it's going to launch by the end of the year. They told 9 to 5 Mac last week that they were currently closing B2B procurement contracts with 3 third-party laptop companies to integrate the technology. Sonder is part of Foxconn's incubator program. Well, that's interesting because Foxconn assembles products for Apple. And Wednesday, the Wall Street Journal reported that it has sources saying that Apple definitely wants to make e-ink keys a standard feature on MacBooks in 2018. This is confusing some people. We're not talking about the MacBooks that are probably going to be announced next week. We're talking about 2 years down the road. They would put these e-ink keyboards into MacBooks. Tim Cook supposedly discussed the MacBook plans with heads of Foxconn and Sonder on October 11th in China. Now, not the first e-ink keyboard. As we said, Sonder is pre-ordered, doing pre-order sales for one right now. There have been others in the past, these programmable keyboards. Scott, you seem really fascinated by this.
I'm not just fascinated. I would really like something like this to come to market. And I remember hearing about something similar not too many years ago. Maybe it was 2014 or so, and there was some keyboards making the rounds. We had a discussion in Slack about some of the things Apple would need to do, or anyone would need to do, to make these, the best possible looking solution. And that is, they can't have these greasy looking transparent keycaps on them. They need to have a nice matte finish touch, maybe like the way the Kindle actually feels. I don't know how you protect that raw screen from a lot of finger activity, but they need, there's a few things like that. If anyone can do it, probably Apple and their design team could, and they probably won't do it until it makes financial sense to do it. So I really like the idea of it, but it sure got me going back in my head about all the weird keyboards in the past. There was the Optimus keyboard you and I talked about a little bit earlier, which was LEDs, and they would light up and be different colors. In fact, LED keyboards are still common in gaming, but it's usually just sort of a backlight solution, and they can fluctuate and create patterns and all of this. But that keyboard specifically had rows of keys that you could assign functions to, and it was great for gaming, but you could use it to assign, this key's for my browser, this key's for Microsoft Word, and there would be a little icon of the Word, icon for Word, or an icon for an Adobe application or something, and you could use the keyboard more in context with what you were using. Same goes for when you're using an actual application, and that application has special needs or special functions. You could assign those keys. I loved the idea, but it was prohibitively expensive and kind of a beast, and never really took off in a mainstream way. If they've gotten to a place where they can make this less expensive and backlight this for the notebooks and everything else without it looking like cheap, crummy plastic, they may be onto something, and that's how I want to type. I love the idea of having customizable keys depending on my use case.
Yeah, I love this concept. It's all about the execution. Like you say, the keys themselves have to not get scuffed up and cloudy and dirty, and that's a fixable problem, but it has to be fixed. So you probably want some kind of durable glass. But hey, guess who is really conversant with Gorilla Glass these days? Foxconn and Apple. I think that the software is the part where it gets trickiest for me, which is who gets to control what programs get to use it when. Because if this is only in a handful of programs, it's not going to be that useful for me. If you give me control over it, that I can customize it, that's cool. I don't want to have to customize it all the time. Like, there needs to be a balance between letting developers have open access to this sort of thing, getting the developers incentivized to program it in and take advantage of it when it makes sense, and then not letting it become a security problem itself.
Yeah, I'm convinced that they do it like iOS replaceable keyboard. In terms of when Apple does something like this, and that you've got kind of a default, right? That's sort of one size fits all. And if applications, or if somebody just wants to change it up and say, what if every key was a little piece of fruit, and you just remembered that the G key is a pineapple or whatever? Which makes no sense, but you know what I mean? Like, they can be as crazy as they want to be, and we've seen that with iOS keyboards. People choose to have these wacky keyboards. Some of them are just gift makers. Some of them are actual keyboards they speed up the way you type, like SwiftKey and others are just kind of variations of the existing one. But if they give them that kind of access, and you as a user can say, well, I want to use that or I don't, you have to sort of opt into using a new keyboard. And for application-specific stuff, like Adobe, I'll bet gets all over this, especially if this sells well, the notebooks do well, because then you're going to see these pop up on Windows PCs and who knows where else. I could see Adobe doing this, because Adobe depends on so many functions that are kind of weird and only known by the few of us who hack away at that thing every day. So there's a real opportunity for the big mainstream apps out there that people are using all the time, be it things like Premiere or Final Cut or whatever. So that's the use case for me. Now, as far as whether that's worth it to them or not, I think this just sounds like something Apple would like. Like, from a design perspective, even if it doesn't take off, to me, it's like pressure sensitivity on the front of the phones now. It's like, it's not that needed. You could do kind of a click and hold situation for most of what that does. But it's cool and it's neat and it's in there and it's hard wired and it feels designed to do that. And it's despite its lack of use cases, is just a nice evolution for the hardware. So that's why I think they're interested, not necessarily looking at the long tail of having, some kind of second app store, a third app store for just selling keyboard mods.
Yeah, one of the use cases that I would like it for, which is very edge, is the occasional need to find one of those alternate keyboard items. Like, I want the euro sign, I want the pound sign, and having to remember the keyboard shortcut to get there. If there was an easy way, let's say like you hold down the Alt button for 3 seconds and it'll pop up all the alternate keys for you instead of having to remember the key combo, that could be pretty handy, and it can teach you the key combo then. Yeah,
I like that idea a lot. The other one for me, I use a Wacom tablet over here. And while the tablet itself has a bunch of function buttons on it, so I can use one to hold the page or to switch from brush to eraser or whatever, there are many times I have to reach over here to the left and I have to hit B or V for select, or a bunch of keys that do, I know what the shortcuts are, but they're keys on a keyboard that are kind of far from me. And once in a while I'll hit N by accident. Oh, shoot, I've messed it up. Let's go undo, and then I'll hit the right key the next time. Would be cool is I could just say, I only need like 4 keys.
Yeah.
For the keyboard functions. Let's just divide my keyboard into 4 quadrants, and any key I hit in that quadrant is the right one.
Oh yeah. No, exactly. You can start to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then we'll be kicking back, telling tales. In our day, you just had to remember the W, A, S, and D were the arrows.
Exactly. I mean, even gamers could reassign those keys. Speaking of WASD, but the more I talk about this, I realize I'm now talking about yet another edge case, and I don't know if that.
Well, but I think there's enough edge cases that as long as you make it adaptable and customizable, it could be really useful for a lot of people in a lot of different ways. That's why you want an open platform. That's why I'm worried they are going to do it like iOS, where the keyboards sort of are default, except in cases when they're not. I would much rather them do the Android situation where it's like, hey, I'm going to have this keyboard be my default keyboard, and each piece of software can ask me if it's okay to put in their own layout, and I can say yes or no. That's definitely
like they have to do that on this platform. They can get away with what they're doing on iOS because that's the platform, but in a lot of ways, the genie's out of the bottle on the Mac, and has been for too long for them to get too weird. I know they've made tries to do that with the App Store and a few other things, but I think they'd have to. So if we see this and they don't do that, I would be shocked, or it gets patched in because people are like, well, I can't use it because it's not customizable enough or something.
Well, now that you've made a Christina Aguilera reference, we'll need to move on. In yesterday's show, Allison Sheridan sometimes co-host on this show and host of NosillaCast Mac podcast at podfeet.com, said, "You said cash in circulation grew 42% from 2007 to 2012. I found that unbelievable. I inferred from what you said that it was the amount of currency when in fact it's the value of that currency." That is an important distinction. From the Federal Reserve Board, you can see that the value went up from 42% between 2007 and 2012. That got me to thinking, should we remove inflation? From the inflation calculator, I found inflation went up 10.7% cumulatively over that time. I think we can subtract those two numbers, giving us an adjusted value increase of around 31%, which is crazy. I would have bet $1 million it had gone down. I thought maybe it's only in the last 3 years it's gone down. Nope. Value of U.S. currency in circulation went up 22% from 2012 to 2015 with inflation of 4.9. So still a 17% growth. Shocking.
Wow. Is that, Tom, is it because, I'm going to be real dumb here, so forgive me, but is it because there's less paper money being handed around? So therefore the stuff that's in circulation is just worth more because...
No. It's people continuing to use cash, and as Allison said, I would have thought maybe it was just prices rising. Apparently no, it's just people still using cash.
All right. See, I told you it was dumb.
Yeah. No, it's not a dumb question. It is a good question, and there may be something to what you're saying, but it's not just that. The point is that people are still using cash. It's not necessarily rising by 42%, but it's not going away. It's not just the rise in the value of stuff.
Yeah.
On Wayne wrote, "I got the latest Android with the 6P. I did get latest Android with the 6P, the Nexus 6P, but I found Bluetooth Android handling and small annoying bugs with auto brightness and other things laying around without ever being fixed. In contrast, the Samsung Galaxy phones provide me with waterproof, good camera, battery, always on display, and I consider the software to be very polished. Sorry if I sound like a new Samsung fanboy, but I do think people tend to undermine manufacturer software and overblow the pure Google experience." And one of the reasons I included his email was because in these dark days for Samsung, they need a cheerleader like On Wayne out there fighting for them. And of course, this is in response to us talking about the Google Pixel phone, which I've yet to get my hands on, and maybe doesn't have all these bugs that the Nexuses did. Who knows?
Point. Also, I saw yesterday somebody put an animated GIF, a short video, GIF based on the video of somebody who made their Halloween costume this year, and it was 4 Galaxy Note 7 boxes, like retail boxes, the little black boxes that come in, strapped around the guy. And then hidden in his shirt, he had this little tube. And when he would blow on it, all of them would smoke. Like they would just emit smoke out of these 7s. So
he ain't flying anywhere for Halloween.
Yeah. To me, that seems like there's a problem with that in a lot of ways. But just so it's out there, apparently Halloween is still a time for us to make fun of Note 7.
Don't dress up your kids as a Note 7. One of the things we were talking about yesterday with Patrick Beja was whether the rumor will prove to be true, and I guess we'll find out next week, if the new MacBooks only have USB-C and Thunderbolt ports. And we talked about not having MagSafe, and of course Patrick and I agreed, like someone will come out with an adapter that turns USB-C into MagSafe. Well, guess what? It's already there, because there is one USB-C powered Mac out there. Robbie Pence, aka TrueFire_, said, just in case you didn't see this MagSafe USB-C cable yet, it's not the only offering, and Griffin has one that will adapt your USB-C power cord to MagSafe. So that is probably about to get a little more popular.
Yeah, and in this case, it's an actual full-blown cable too. So you're not talking about adapting it. You can just swap cables out. I was telling you this morning, totally briefly here, but I'm all for us embracing faster, better, cooler standards. And if Apple does this certainly wouldn't be the first time this year even that they've decided to remove something we all think is hallowed ground. But it's this weird transition. I'm not saying Apple should determine that market, but it's kind of the way things end up going anyway. And we're now all using USB 3 when we thought it was going to be hard to get it all. Well, now we've got it. Now we're being asked to change to something else. It's going to be fine, everybody.
Do you remember changing to USB?
Yeah. It was big.
Do you remember Apple resisting USB ports?
Yeah, big time. They want to be using those serial cables forever. And
all of this has happened before.
Yeah, it'll all happen again.
Yeah. Finally, Ian in sunny Scotland discovered Domino's in the UK has started using Facebook's Messenger bot He just needs to message the word pizza to the bot, and his favorite pizza will be delivered. Of course, after he sets up the preferences on the website the first time. So I asked him, I was like, try it out and let us know how it went. So he did, sent us an email this afternoon and said, I'm happy to report that the process went surprisingly smoothly to order. The bot gave me an opportunity to check my details, order, address, etc. through a nice conversational interface. I did this as it was my first time using the service, though there was an option to go straight to the order. The only worry I had was when the online tracking tool seemed to think that I had received my pizza before it actually arrived, and I was wondering which of my neighbors was enjoying a free pizza. But it turned out the delivery driver had gone to my neighbor due to not being able to see the house numbers easily from the road. And he doesn't say this, but I assume what that means is he went to the neighbor and said, where's this number? And the guy pointed in the right direction, and Ian got his pizza. He says, all in all, I was impressed at how easily and friendly the whole process was.
Wow, that's great. Listen, pizza bots, it's the first wave. That's what I want most, is how we get food better.
Starts with pizza bots. I actually remember the first time I ordered pizza on the web. It was in the 90s. Want to say it was Papa John's. It could have been Pizza Hut, but I think it was Papa John's. And I remember that feeling of like, I just ordered a pizza without talking to a person. Is it really going to show up? And it did.
Yeah, totally. We do it all the time now. We get Domino's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It's just easy, and you get visual representations of the crap you're putting on it, and it's great. So next step, please let me.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what he was going to say, but the internet just cut off. Let me what?
Oh, did I cut out?
Yeah, you paused for a second.
Oh, now I don't remember. I think I may have said something about cover me in pizza and let me die alone. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, sure. And I agreed wholeheartely when I thought maybe what you were going to say was buffering. That is it for this episode of the Daily Tech News Show. Thank you, Scott Johnson. I hope you never die, but remain covered in pizza for the rest of your life. What do you got to tell people about?
Very nice. Actually, right now, there's a lot of prep getting ready to go to BlizzCon, which is Blizzard's big annual thing. And if you are a fan of BlizzCon and you're a fan of me, it turns out you're going to see me in a couple of relatively interesting ways at this year's con. I'm not allowed to talk about too much of it, so I'll let it be a surprise. But if you want to follow my goings on as we get closer to that event and the event itself, follow me on Twitter at Scott Johnson, and you'll see all you need to see there.
This show is entirely funded by you, the folks listening. If you enjoy this show, we just ask that you support us somehow. There's all kinds of ways to do it at dailytechnewsshow.com/support. And thanks to every single person who supports the show. You guys are the reason we're able to do it. A huge thanks to Kelly Murphy and Will Geiger, who both doubled their pledges today. And Ben Zosky quintupled his. And at the same time, I want to say thank you and so long to Joseph and Jeff. They had to stop their pledges, but we appreciate the support that they did give us, and we hope things turn around for them. So big thanks to you, however you can support the show. If you can't do it with money anymore, just telling folks about the show. In fact, if everyone, after you're done with listening to this show, just go on Twitter and say, hey, really enjoyed that dailytechnewsshow.com today. That would be infinitely helpful. Patreon.com/DTNS. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can find us live on diamondclub.tv and Alpha Geek Media Mondays through Fridays at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And of course, like I said, our website is dailytechnewsshow.com. Back tomorrow with the triumphant return from Britain of Justin Robert Young. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
So my phone immediately got updates to all the Google apps.
Whoa, really?
They're loading now. I don't know if it's anything to do with our thing earlier, but
hey, big cheers for the Cleveland fans. I know we have many of them.
Do they win this tonight?
They are winning right now in the middle of the game. They were up 3-0 in the series. They lost yesterday to the Blue Jays, but they're back ahead. So we may have very happy Rich from lovely Cleveland and Len Peralta's very soon.
yeah.
So wait, how many? Is it a 7-game?
Yeah, they have to win 4.
Good. It's, if you have to have the Browns, you may as well have some other good news.
I do want to add to the. I was just thinking about the Allison Sheridan's thing about inflation and the rise in the use of dollars. It could also be a large portion of that. Maybe its use outside of the U.S. as, I'm wondering if there would be a similar boost in like euros, like people in different parts of the world using it, using U.S. denominated currency.
Wasn't it 42% rise in the U.S. though?
Let me see what
That
she's.
I don't remember for sure. That
It just said the value went up, so I wasn't sure if that
cash
meant.
in circulation grew 42% from 2007 to 2012. I think it's within the U.S., but I could be wrong about that.
Side note, sorry.
Yeah.
In that
No, it's interesting.
Oh yeah, what's on Showbot?
Showbot, leading the pack is Cover Me in Pizza.
They keep doing this when I'm on. They keep
Cover me in pizza.
Better not shout, better not cry, better not cuz. I'm telling you why Facebook knows what you're going to buy.
a little long.
Side lasers. LeEco my Vizio. Ooh, this one's good. I like BioCows. Join LeEco system.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to vote for that one. Belichick, think Belichick takes the air out of the surface.
That's good.
Aloe from the other side. Pew,
Aloe
pew,
from
pew.
the
Side
other
lasers.
side.
There's an X and Christina Aguilera reference. G Suite and special sauce. T
That's a rap
vaguely
name.
mobile.
Tom and I are going to tour under that name, G Suite and Special Sauce.
Yes, it's our rap duo.
I'm looking for a keyboard or e-ink. Apple Ink rethinks e-ink.
Where's my boy Special Sauce at? Which one of us is which, though? Actually,
Is e-ink the key to board dumb? Board. I'm not sure what that. I'm not sure.
Keyboard dumb. Yeah,
Keyboard dumb.
so it's working hard. It's working hard.
Yeah.
Why are they
Apple
up to-
Sondar's off on keyboards. Sondar's off. Apple Sondar. Yeah, I got it. All right. Cover Me in Pizza still at the pack with 9.
Cover me in pizza.
The way you sing that, it kind of sounds like a John Denver song.
Die now.
It kind of does.
Yeah, I didn't know he did a
Pizza
TV
flying
series where he was an FBI or
to the
he was a cop.
What?
Yeah.
I knew he had like a variety show. I didn't know about this cop show.
No, it was like a pilot, and he was like punching people, but it's like punching like John Denver would punch people.
Now you're gonna get Rocky Mountain High.
He sings he like sings the songs and stuff at the end. Like, it's called what's it called? McCloud? No, is it McCloud? No, not McCloud.
That's the Simpsons series, the fake
John
Simpsons
Denver
action
TV
hero,
show
McCloud.
pilot. Someone in the chat
McCloud.
room has to know. John Denver. No, not. Oh, I see. It's called Higher Ground. It was an
Of course
unsold
it
TV
is.
pilot.
Of course it is. How did we not guess that? Higher Ground. It was later rebooted by the Red Hot Chili Peppers
Let's see if I can share
and
with
Stevie Wonder. Do we what are we picking? What are we picking for a title?
I think we're gonna go with. Cover Me Pizza doesn't really. Side lasers.
We can go side
I like
lasers.
Join. I do. Although I must say, I like Join LeEco system.
We could do that. Scott, do you have a deciding vote?
If it were me, I would go with Side Lasers, but I just like the way that sounds.
All right, side lasers it is.
I don't know why.
Because you like lasers.
Do we spell laser with a Z?
Z.
these
It's
days?
with the Z. I'm gonna show people this. I'm gonna show the audience this. If you're still watching.
Lasers. What are you showing people?
This is that TV
that's
pilot, Higher
John
Ground.
Denver.
There he is, John Denver, at Man of Action,
Right.
FBI agent.
Don't get us into a takedown notice situation.
Oh, that's amazing.
Look at that.
Careful, Roger.
Yes,
That's how we
sir.
get takedowns.
Why didn't play them on here?
That's crazy.
We're talking about it, and I haven't played any music.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. The YouTube bot does not take context into account. It's
All
the
right.
stupidest thing ever. You didn't have it full screen, though, so I think it's probably okay. There's no reasoning with the YouTube bot.
What's seeing is that's lived on that.
He's like John Denver's cop partner in Higher Ground. There's just no reasoning with him. Cover me in pizza.
I love it.
I remember I got a takedown notice once for. They pulled down a video clip I did for IO9's We Come From the Future show, and it's because I used a song that sounded remarkably like the Doctor Who one, except that it was down an octave and the keys were flipped. It still flagged it.
Yeah, I've gotten flagged for using stock music because someone had used stock music and submitted their entire clip to the bot. And so the bot's like, well, they own everything in this clip. It's like, no, they don't own the stock music.
Yeah, I got
That's the whole point of stock music.
Got it from APM. It really cheesed me. It's like, this is licensed music.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
And then we got, when we were doing Sword and Laser for Geek and Sundry, we asked people to send us video questions. And then we would play a video question, and then the show would post, and Geek and Sundry would submit all of their shows to the bot. And then the person who sent the video question would get their question taken down. Because it was like, this matches what's in the Geek and Sundry video. It's like, yeah, because that's what we asked them to do. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, that's why we distributed off our own servers for the longest time.
It's a whole new world of censorship.
See, like, if you're really good at karaoke and you can sing like It's a Whole New World, would you get a takedown notice even if
you might. In fact, we did on Cord Killers one time, we showed a bit of a parody of Let It Go with words that had been rewritten as Game of Thrones references. And we got a takedown notice from an Eastern European record label that had a like Czech version of Let It Go up, and they said that our version matched theirs. What I think probably happened is that the parody people used the Czech version as their backing music, possibly, and that's why we got caught in that trap, but it was crazy. But it's never about what's legal. That's what frustrates me.
Well,
we're putting Tensor Guy to sleep. By the way, congratulations to Jaime.
Yay.
The HoloVect funded yesterday.
Woo!
No,
So
you deserve
cool.
to go to sleep.
So freaking cool, man.
Yeah. I can't wait to get mine now. Now I've got to wait for the rest of the month to finish. So what else is going on? Did y'all see any good baseball games lately?
No.
Any read any good books?
Yes.
What'd you read?
I'm reading a book called Crossroads. Oh, come on, Scott. What's it called?
Guideposts.
I always do
It's
that.
a magazine.
Here, hold on. I'm going to tell you.
My grandma got that magazine.
It's called. It's taking forever here. Hold on. Library. Here it is. Oh, it's because I don't have it on my phone yet. It's on my other Kindle. That's why it's not showing up.
Cloud. Gotta look at the cloud
clouded.
with a chance of meatballs.
Mice Templar.
Rice Templar?
No, the Mice Templar.
It's
a
called
comic book.
Dead Man's Crossing,
Okay.
and it is by Joe R. Lansdale.
Oh, the Joe R. Lansdale?
Yeah, he does a ton of stuff, like all kinds of genre stuff and
Okay.
all over the map. Anyway, this is it's relatively short. But yeah, I guess I'm going to just straight up call it a short story. But it's about this old preacher in the Old West whose job it is to seek out evil where he finds it and flush it out of these old.
Oh, this is so
like
Scott
very-
Johnson. This is did
very
you write
Scott
it specifically for you?
Yeah. And I picked it because I'm in the middle of the second Expanse book, but I thought I'm just going to read this quick. It looks awesome. It was 99 cents on Kindle on sale
Uh-huh.
one day. Like, I'm just going to read through this thing, and then I got hooked, and so I'm going to finish that, and then I'm back to space. It's really good.
That happens to me too. Like I'll get a gap and I'll be like, oh, I want to read this other book next, but it's not out yet or something. And then I'll start reading something and I'll get caught up. That's happened to me with Rachel Bach. recently.
The character's name is, let me see. You love this. He does horror movies, modern like thrillers. He does all kinds of stuff. Not horror movies, horror books. But can't find the guy's name. Anyway, his name is Jebediah.
Jebediah.
Yeah, and he comes into town and there's like demons here. I'm gonna take out these demons, and tears out pages of a Bible he keeps with him. And when they hit the ground, if they light on fire, that means evil's near. And he has this. Supposedly, he's like kind of an avenging angel, but he can't stand God in this context because he thinks everything's jacked up, and people are like, "Preacher, I don't think God answers my prayers." And he goes, "I don't think anyone."
This is very much like the comic book Preacher in
kind of
some
a
ways.
little
in theme ways, not in
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
He's willing to do his job, but he's not happy to be the guy doing it. It's good.
He doesn't like his boss.
Yeah,
But he likes the
it's
job.
very, it's like in 1860 or something, and all the tropes are there. But he has a really good way of kind of Cormac McCarthy way, or maybe I'm trying to think of a better example, but a great sort of descriptive style that's kind of artsy and fartsy. It's good. I like it.
Ooh, it's both kinds, artsy and fartsy.
The woods,
I almost got my foot caught in my chair. I need a new chair. Do you have any recommendations? It needs to be 24 to 26 inches.
I like.
Are you going to buy me the Aeron chair? Those things are expensive.
They are expensive.
I know, but that was the last upgrade at the Revision 3 office. Or
It's the sign of a dying company when they start buying the Aeron chairs.
Is it? Oh, they started Revolution. Oh, whatever. So I don't understand. I mean, I get it that Hasbro wants to do this, but you're literally mushing together 5 different toy lines that don't belong
What are you talking
together.
about?
No, Hasbro.
We were talking about Aeron chairs, and then suddenly you were talking about Hasbro. I missed a step somewhere.
No, sorry. I was looking through my feed. Revolution is basically IDW and Hasbro's attempts to do like a cross multi-universe spanning arc, like the way Marvel and DC do.
Okay.
Except for them, it's just like, what if you take Mask and Transformers and like 3 other toy lines I don't remember off the top of my head, and we'll just cram it together. Oh, ROM. Remember ROM?
Oh, yeah. I heard they're rebooting ROM.
Put that, Mask, Transformers, and G.I. Joe, and we'll make it like in the same universe, and we'll have them all. It's like, no. It's like, it just doesn't. You can't put Strawberry Shortcake and My Little Ponies and Care Bears together because they would eat each other alive because they are so tasty. Although if you did all 3 of those and did a Chud spin on it.
Do you
remember
ever have ROM,
Chud?
Scott?
Oh, I remember Chud. I saw Chud for we watched it for Film Sack. Bad movie.
It's classic, like schlock.
It's really schlocky, and it has a great idea. Like, concept's awesome. Actually, you know what else is really great? We watched it the other night. Clive Barker's Nightbreed.
Oh, I love that movie.
That movie's great. Still, it's kind of bad, but great.
It's I mean, you understand for when it was made and for the budget it was made, but I liked it. It had a little heart to it.
I totally agree. It's the director's cut, the Cabal cut or whatever, is on Netflix.
I'll have to watch it.
Yeah, we had a good time. I was surprised how actually, what really holds up is the soundtrack. It's a Danny Elfman joint, which at that point we'd only really heard Batman. He was still sort of new on that stuff, and
Wait, didn't he do The Simpsons too?
It's really good.
Wasn't Elfman doing the Simpsons TV?
Yeah, he was doing that well before that. That's true. But his movie stuff really started with Batman, and then Tim Burton stuff, and then
he somehow totally disowned Oingo Boingo for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, why you got to bring that up? I'm a movie composer. I'm a soundtrack composer, score composer.
Yep.
What is this Oingo Boingo sorority rock you're listening to?
In fact, I did a Vine from that movie. I'm going to send it to you, Roger. You can look at it. It's real weird. I'll put it in Slack. Wait. I don't want to play music. I just want it to let me link it. Annoying. Hold on. Let me see if it'll let me. Okay, turn that off. Here we go. Link.
Let's see.
Put it in Slack. this was one of the creatures. Like the practical effects in that movie totally hold up. It's really well done.
That's the sign of a good special effects.
Yep.
Like even Ray Harryhausen's stuff.
It
Like
says Bill Belichick. That is not it. Sorry, keep talking.
No, I was going to say that Oingo Boingo, that one song, Dead Man's Party, used to be the staple of any Halloween bash that you would throw. You would have that. It's a Dead Man's Party.
Totally.
It's a dead man's party. I'm just an old guy. I'm sorry,
right.
everyone. I'm sorry.
There you go. Getting rid of this Bill Belichick because it makes no sense.
Oh, is it still loading? It won't play for me. I guess it's still loading.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Uploading or something. Oh, there it goes. Oh, yeah. Nice.
And there's just, it's full of just creepy stuff like that.
You know, the one I really thought I would have aged, but I still like, is the Dark Crystal. Like the puppets, the Jim Henson stuff.
Yeah, I love Dark Crystal.
Really holds up. I thought it wouldn't.
TVZ Gone says Roger isn't in chat, but Danny Elfman mostly left Oingo Boingo due to hearing loss issues. Their farewell tour in 1995 was it for him.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So wait, then how does he compose?
He's still rocking the movies. He's got.
I can see where he. I mean, who wasn't Beethoven deaf?
Yes, but wasn't he Austrian originally?
Who?
Beethoven.
What does that have to do with it?
You said German guy, and I was like, wasn't he Austrian?
I didn't say German.
Didn't you? I thought
No.
German. I don't know. Every time someone brings up Beethoven, I just remember that German saying, like, everyone remembers Hitler, but he was Austrian. Oh, no, wait. Everyone remembers he was Austrian. Everyone Beethoven. It doesn't matter.
Beethoven was not Hitler. That's the point.
Yeah, no. It's like everyone remembers the Austrian, but not the German. Or no, that he was whatever. Skip it. You know what?
Yeah, one of those. You know what?
It's
Roger's
been
got a lot of paperwork these days. Give him a freaking break.
A lot of paperwork. So much paper. You know what? If someone can disrupt that entire process, make it simple and effective, and you know what you're doing,
Yeah.
that would be awesome.
All right, speaking of simple and effective, we are simply and effectively published.
Woo!
So thank you all for enjoying the show. Or if you didn't enjoy the show, we're sorry. We hope you enjoy tomorrow's show. We'll be back and try again.